If you whisper her name 3 times before a mirror, the reflection you see will not be your own. It will be hers. The legend of Bloody Mary has traveled through generations like a whispered plague, passed from childhood dares to midnight games. In the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, countless children have stood before the bathroom mirror, hearts pounding, chanting her name with a trembling voice. Some laughed, some screamed, but others swore that they saw her. She is not a ghost bound by place. She is bound by ritual, a cursed invocation older than the walls around you. And when she answers, she does not come gently. But tonight's story is not a playground tale. It is not the harmless dare told at sleepovers. This is the truth behind the myth, the chilling roots of a dark folklore. The night where one young woman discovered the curse of Bloody Mary was not just a story, but a real horror that left a trail of blood. The autumn wind howled outside as Emily Carter, a 22-year-old university student, stumbled into her off-campus apartment. She was laughing with her roommates, 3 girls who had been best friends since high school. Halloween was only a day away, and the air was thick with stories, costumes, and the scent of carved pumpkins. On the coffee table sat a Ouija board they had been playing with earlier that evening, its planchette resting at goodbye. The lights flickered once, drawing nervous laughter before the room returned to its warm glow. Then it began, the teasing. "Come on, Em, don't you tell me you've never tried Bloody Mary?" Sarah whispered. "That's just a kid's game. You stare in the mirror, chant the name, scare yourself with shadows, nothing more." But Sarah wasn't done. "They say if you look long enough, the mirror stops reflecting you. It shows her, blood running down her face, a woman betrayed, a woman who wants revenge." The girls giggled, pouring more wine, daring Emily to prove her bravery. Finally, with the buzz of alcohol and the thrill of competition, she agreed. They set the rules. The lights in the bathroom would be turned off. A single candle placed before the mirror. The name chanted 3 times, no breaks. The bathroom door creaked as Emily stepped inside. The small candle flickered, casting her reflection in a shaky golden haze. She stared at herself, her pupils dilated in the darkness, her lips trembling despite her mocking bravado. "Bloody Mary! Bloody Mary! Bloody Mary!" At first, nothing, just her own reflection, pale and tired. She smirked, ready to call it nonsense, but then her reflection didn't move. Emily blinked. Her own face stayed frozen. Her smile drained. The reflection's lips began to curl upward into a smile far too wide, far too cruel. Blood seeped slowly from the corners of its mouth. She stumbled back, candle shaking, heart hammering. Behind her reflection, a shadowed figure appeared, a woman in torn, blood-soaked garments, her hair dripping as though drowned, her eyes nothing but pits of black. Emily gasped and spun around. Nothing. The room was empty. But in the mirror, Bloody Mary pressed her palms against the glass. The candle guttered, plunging the room into near darkness. Emily's scream caught in her throat as the reflection leaned forward, whispering through the glass, "You called me. Now I will never leave you." The mirror cracked. Emily bolted out, slamming the bathroom door behind her, face drained of color. Her friends laughed nervously, but when they saw the faint, bloody imprint of a woman's hand smeared across the mirror from the inside, their laughter died. That night, Emily dreamed of mirrors, dozens of them. Each one showed her reflection twisted, bleeding, clawing at the glass, as if trying to escape. When she awoke, she found 3 long scratches down her forearm, deep, fresh, and burning. Bloody Mary was not a myth anymore. She was awake, and she had chosen Emily. The mirror doesn't just reflect your face, it reflects her story, a story written in blood and betrayal. After the first night of terror, Emily knew something had shifted. Bloody Mary was no longer a childish game whispered at sleepovers. She was real. Her presence crept into every reflection, every glint of glass. But to understand a curse, one must trace its roots. What Emily discovered would drag her deep into the folklore of horror, into the forgotten history of a woman who lived, suffered, and died centuries ago. And worst of all, Mary wasn't done with her. Emily avoided the bathroom mirror the next morning. She brushed her teeth using the black screen of her phone as a guide, refusing to lift her gaze toward the cracked glass above the sink. The smear of the bloody handprint from last night was still there. Her roommates whispered uneasily. "It's just a trick," Sarah muttered. "Our minds made us see it." But the scratches on Emily's arm told another story. At the library, Emily buried herself in books, history, folklore, and obscure superstitions. She wanted to know, who was Mary? Hours passed until finally she found something. The legend of Mary Tudor, the first Queen of England to rule in her own right, better known as Bloody Mary. History remembered her for the executions she ordered. Hundreds burned for heresy. Her reign was soaked in blood. But Emily's research uncovered another layer. A folk account buried in a 19th century collection of dark myths suggested that Mary had turned to forbidden rituals during her desperate attempts to bear a child. Blood sacrifices, mirror scrying, a cursed reflection ritual whispered through generations. According to the tale, Mary's grief and rage twisted her soul. When she died, her spirit clung to mirrors, the only gateways she could pierce. Every time someone chanted her name, they weren't calling a ghost, they were opening a door. And once that door was open, it never truly closed. That night, Emily's dreams returned. This time she wasn't in her apartment. She was standing in a cold stone chamber lit by torches, surrounded by whispers in Latin. At the center stood a queen in crimson robes, her crown tilted, her eyes hollow with sorrow. She cradled something in her arms, a stillborn child. Blood trickled down her wrists. When Emily tried to look away, every wall of the chamber turned into mirrors, and in each one the queen's face decayed, skin splitting, mouth opening far too wide, teeth jagged and dripping with blood. Emily woke with a scream. Her roommate Claire burst in, pale as death. "The mirrors, they're all cracked, every single one in the house." Emily stumbled to the living room. The wall mirror was splintered, the bathroom mirror shattered. Even the tiny compact mirrors in their makeup bags were webbed with cracks. Through one of the cracks, Emily saw her reflection again, but this time Mary was standing behind her, a cold hand resting on her shoulder. The haunting escalated. Emily saw shadows moving inside glass windows. Her reflection sometimes lingered a beat too long, staring after she moved away. At night, the sound of soft weeping echoed from the mirrors, growing into screams if she dared to look. By the third night, Claire disappeared. Her bed was empty, her belongings untouched, but the mirror above her desk was soaked with red streaks, as though someone had been pulled through. Panic consumed the house. Emily felt the curse tightening around her like a noose. She returned to her research, desperate for answers. One passage burned into her mind. The ritual that awakens her can be undone, but only with a sacrifice. The mirror must taste blood, and the name must be spoken not in fear, but in defiance. It was no longer a game. Mary was here, and if Emily didn't end it, all of them would vanish, one by one, into the glass. When the mirror shatters, the pieces don't fall away. They crawl back together, pulling you into her world. By now, Emily's life had become a waking nightmare. Every surface that could reflect her face had turned against her. The mirrors no longer simply showed Bloody Mary. They were gateways, hungry and waiting. Her roommate Sarah was gone, devoured by the glass, and now the remaining two girls, Claire and Hannah, were on the edge of madness. The apartment had become a haunted trap, and the only way out was through. Emily knew one thing: if she didn't confront Mary, they'd all be next. The air inside the apartment was heavy, oppressive, like a storm building. Every reflective surface, picture frames, windows, even the dark screen of the television, throbbed faintly as though a heartbeat pulsed within them. Emily sat cross-legged on the living room floor, old books and photocopied pages scattered around her. Latin phrases, notes about scrying rituals, and sketches of symbols lay beneath trembling hands. Her eyes burned from lack of sleep. Claire clutched a rosary. Hannah sobbed quietly, rocking in the corner. This isn't just some spirit. She was a king. She was betrayed, drowned in blood and grief. She clings to mirrors because they're the only way she can be seen. But if we don't stop her, her voice faltered, we'll all end up like Sarah. The apartment groaned. The lights flickered. Then, knocking. Slow, deliberate, from inside the bathroom. Claire's rosary beads snapped in her hands. Hannah screamed. Emily forced herself to stand, legs like stone. She approached the bathroom door. The cracks in the mirror inside had spread like veins across the wood. With each knock, the fissures widened, glowing faintly red. Then, silence. Emily pressed her ear to the door. For a moment, nothing. And then, a shriek so loud it rattled the walls. The door burst open, slamming her backward. The bathroom mirror exploded outward, not into shards, but into liquid, like black water spilling onto the floor. From that liquid, hands emerged, pale, bloody, clawed. A woman's head followed, hair dripping, eyes hollow black pits. Mary stepped into the apartment. Her gown was shredded, her skin torn, her lips cracked and bleeding. She moved with jerks, like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. Claire dropped to her knees, whispering prayers. Hannah bolted for the door, only to slam into it as though the wood had turned to stone. The lock twisted itself shut. Emily stood frozen, her breath caught. Mary's face tilted toward her, mouth twitching into a grotesque smile. "You opened the door. You called me. Now you are mine." The candles flickered violently as Mary's figure blurred between shadow and flesh. One moment she was across the room, the next inches from Claire. Claire screamed as Mary's hand plunged into her chest, not physically tearing, but sinking as though her body were glass. Claire's reflection, visible in the cracked shards of mirror still clinging to the wall, began thrashing violently, blood pouring from her mouth. And then Claire was gone. Her body collapsed, lifeless, but in the mirror her reflection still writhed, trapped, pounding at the glass. Hannah clawed at the door, sobbing, her nails ripping bloody lines into the wood. Mary turned her hollow gaze toward her. Emily snapped. "Stop!" she screamed. "It's me you want!" Mary froze. Slowly, impossibly, her head twisted all the way around to face Emily, the bones cracking like snapping branches. Emily lifted the book of notes, voice shaking as she read the reversal ritual aloud. Latin words filled the air, sharp and defiant. The mirrors vibrated violently, spiderweb cracks racing across every reflective surface. Mary shrieked, a shriek that was not sound but pressure, shaking the walls, rattling Emily's bones. Blood poured from Emily's nose, her ears, her eyes, but she kept reading. Mary lunged forward, clawed hands wrapping around Emily's throat. Her skin burned like fire where Mary touched her. Emily spat the final words. "Return to your reflection. Be bound." The apartment erupted in glass. Every mirror shattered inward, sucking violently. A whirlwind of shards pulled Mary backward, her screams echoing as her form fractured, dissolving into the broken pieces. For a moment, silence. Emily collapsed, gasping. Hannah crawled toward her, eyes wide, whispering, Is it over?" But then the shards of glass began to stir. Slowly, they crawled across the floor, fusing together, reforming into a single, perfect mirror, standing upright in the center of the room. And inside it, Mary still stood, smiling. Emily survived the confrontation, but she has only forced Mary back into the mirror world. The curse is not broken. The final battle awaits, the choice between sacrifice or survival. You cannot kill what is already dead, but you can choose who takes her place. Emily had seen the truth. Bloody Mary was no ghostly trick, no childish dare. She was a curse bound to mirrors, a queen betrayed, feeding endlessly on fear and blood. 3 of her friends were already gone. The apartment was a tomb, and in the living room now stood a perfect, unbroken mirror, Mary's prison, but also her throne. If Emily didn't end it tonight, she knew Mary would walk through every mirror in the world. The mirror loomed in silence. Mary's figure inside it was clearer than ever, no longer distorted. She stood tall, regal, her shredded gown flowing like liquid shadow, her crown gleaming with blood. She was smiling, patient, as if she had all the time in the world. Hannah clung to Emily's arm, whispering, "Please, please don't go near it." But Emily knew there was no choice. She spread the old book and notes across the floor, drawing the ritual circle in chalk and salt. Her hands shook violently, but she forced herself to write the words, sigils of banishment, symbols of sacrifice. The text was clear. Mary could not be destroyed, but she could be bound forever. Only one condition: someone had to take her place. Emily's heart thundered in her chest. She knew what that meant. The mirror pulsed. Mary pressed her hand against the inside of the glass. Slowly, blood began to drip down the surface, spelling out words Emily could not ignore. "Join me." The room dropped in temperature. Hannah sobbed, backing into a corner, muttering prayers. Emily lit 3 black candles. Their flames bent inward, as if the air itself was being sucked into the mirror. She began the incantation, her voice low but steady. The mirror shook. The walls trembled. Shadows crawled across the ceiling. Mary leaned forward, her lips moving in perfect unison with Emily's voice, as if mocking her. When Emily reached the final line, Mary's laughter cracked the air. "Do you think words can bind me? You summoned me. You belong to me." The glass rippled. Mary pressed harder. Her face bulged against the surface like a body pressing against water. Emily's tears streamed. "Not me! Not any more!" She sliced her palm with a shard of broken glass and smeared the blood across the chalk circle. The ritual demanded blood, and she gave it. Mary shrieked, recoiling, but Emily forced the chant louder. The mirror glowed, the surface rippling violently. Then, suddenly, Hannah broke. She rushed forward, screaming, "Take me! Take me instead!" Emily's voice cracked. "No, don't!" But Hannah's hands were already on the mirror. The glass melted around her fingers, pulling her in. Her scream filled the apartment as her body twisted, swallowed whole by the reflection. Inside the mirror, Mary's form fractured. Her body split, collapsing into shards of blood and shadow, wrapping around Hannah like chains. The surface of the glass hardened again, trapping them both inside. For a moment, the apartment was silent. Emily collapsed to her knees, sobbing, staring at the mirror. Hannah's face stared back from within, her mouth moving soundlessly, eyes wide in terror. And behind her, Mary, smiling, hands resting on Hannah's shoulders like a crown. The candles snuffed out. The mirror's glow dimmed. The ritual was complete. Mary was bound again, this time with Hannah as her anchor. Emily stumbled outside as dawn broke. The air felt lighter. The curse was over. But as she passed a shop window, her heart froze. In the reflection of the glass, Hannah stood behind her, eyes black, blood dripping from her lips. Emily turned. Nothing. The reflection smiled. The curse was sealed, but never broken. Mary always demands a reflection. Hannah took her place, bound to the glass. Emily was free, or so she thought. But every mirror carries a memory, and Mary never forgets. The legend of Bloody Mary lives on, and all it takes to awaken her is her name. Careful, you've survived this story, but the darkness is always watching. If you dare, press subscribe, leave a like, and write your wish for the next horror tale in the comments. choose wisely, because the story you ask for may come hunting you next.